Here's more wrestling news for May 9th, 2022, and your headlines for this afternoon include what happened with Randy Orton, Riddle, and Drew McIntyre after WrestleMania Backlash went off air, 4 botches you probably missed at WWE WrestleMania Backlash, the Fiend trends after McAfee reference during WrestleMania Backlash, Trish Stratus wants to make return to WWE in authority figure role, AEW blasted for making gimmick matches ordinary, WWE finally books Natalya vs. Cora Jade for NXT 2.0, why Natalya felt embarrassed. Kurt Angle wants to manage Gable Steveson in WWE. Drew McIntyre says, I think each WWE brand should have its own world champion, and more. We're starting off with WrestleMania Backlash, as the show was WWE's latest premium live event and attempted to recapture some of the magic from last month's WrestleMania, but suffered from several botches throughout the night. These issues started even before WrestleMania Backlash got underway, as during the pre-show, MVP appeared to discuss Omos's upcoming match with Bobby Lashley. MVP noted that he was nervous several times before it was clear that he couldn't be heard and that his mic wasn't on, and while it didn't take long to fix, this was an awkward start to the night. It appears that MVP wasn't aware that the show was live from the moment he came onto the panel and wasn't handed a headset so that he could listen to the other stars on the show in what would be the start of a strange night for WWE. After this hiccup on the kickoff show, you'd think WWE would double-check that every microphone was on for WrestleMania Backlash, but that wasn't the case. Ahead of the SmackDown Women's Championship I Quit match, Samantha Irvin tried to announce the 2 opponents, but when the cameras came back out to the ring, the mic only picked up the end of her announcement, as it was clear that her microphone hadn't been turned on. A professional, Samantha continued her announcements as if there were no issues, but it meant that the fans live in attendance missed much of the announcement before the match. WrestleMania Backlash also featured a segment promoting the upcoming Money in the Bank, but even the announcement for that show didn't go as planned. Cody Rhodes was the one selected to confirm WWE's next premium live event, but gave an odd description for the titular ladder match. We all know that whoever holds a Money in the Bank briefcase can challenge for a title of their choosing at any time up to a year, but Rhodes instead said that the winners will go on to headline WrestleMania. Rhodes, a 4-time participant in the men's match, seemed to have gotten the ladder match confused with the Royal Rumble, which guarantees its victors the main event of WrestleMania. If you want to be technical, a Money in the Bank winner could guarantee themselves a WrestleMania main event if they were to announce that they'd be cashing in at the Showcase of the Immortals, but it's far more likely that Cody simply got it wrong on last night's show. More from the I Quit match, as throughout the SmackDown Women's Championship match, Michael Cole's commentary left a lot to be desired. During the match, Cole seemed to struggle to recall the names of moves, often tripping over his words, and perhaps his most egregious error came during a spot with a camera. In the spot, Flair threw a camera at Rousey, using the no disqualification rule to full effect, but Cole said that Flair had thrown the camera at herself. We all know that Charlotte is talented and loves to be the center of attention, but we doubt she would be willing to throw a camera at herself, despite what Cole claimed. Of course, the recipient of the camera shot was Rousey, who would go on to win the match, but Cole seemingly struggled to remember the name of the new SmackDown Women's Champion. If Cole's commentary choices were questionable, so was one from Pat McAfee, who made reference to a certain fan sat at ringside. During last night's I Quit match between Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair, a fan dressed as the Fiend was spotted at ringside, and on commentary, Pat McAfee pointed out the fan's unique costume. When McAfee asked if that was the Fiend at ringside, Michael Cole didn't respond, but the Fiend's name was quickly trending afterwards on social media. Over a year since his last match at WrestleMania 37, the former Universal Champion has kept clear of the ring since being released last July, but he still remains incredibly popular with the fans. Wyatt himself has said that he isn't done wrestling and will compete again, and while that's unlikely to be in WWE, neither Vince McMahon's promotion nor its fan base have forgotten about The Fiend. In 2019, Trish Stratus had her most recent match to date, nearly 13 years after her initial retirement at Unforgiven 2006. A 7-time women's champion and former hardcore champion, it's no wonder why Stratus is considered one of the greatest women superstars of all time, but she may soon be back with WWE under a much different role. Speaking during a recent Q&A at For the Love of Wrestling, Trish discussed a possible return, saying she'd love to come back as an on-screen authority figure, adding, "I would gladly accept that role. I always think, like I said, to go back, it has to be something challenging, something different for you guys. You know, you don't just want to see me being a babyface, kicking butt, winning championships. Boring, right, guys? Do we? Or would you? I don't know. I can't read the crowd. I'm not sure what they want. What do you guys want? What do you want? What should I do next? I always say if I go back, the one thing I'm missing is a heel run, so that would be kind of fun, you know? Yeah. Authority figures in wrestling are nothing new, with the trope originating in the WWE with Jack Tunney, and the most recent ones being Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville. Time will tell whether Stratus trades in her ring attire for a pantsuit, but Stratusfaction could be delivered again in WWE one day, should Trish become the next GM. Over to AEW next, as the promotion has never shied away from using gimmick matches, far too many for some people's liking. AEW is certainly more violent than their counterparts in WWE, having held a Texas Death Match, a street fight, and a ladder match all within the span of a few weeks. Well, speaking on his podcast, The Drive-Thru, Jim Cornette blasted the company for making gimmick matches ordinary and not routine. They might as well just say everything is no rules and means nothing, because almost everything is no rules and does mean nothing. In less than 3 years, they have killed off and made meaningless and ordinary and routine and blasé almost every gimmick match that exists in the wrestling business. This is hardly the first time Cornette has criticized AEW, and it's unlikely they'll stop using gimmick matches anytime soon, no matter how often they play out on the company's programming. Now this month, AEW will kick off its Owen Hart Foundation Men's and Women's Tournament, celebrating the life of the Canadian wrestler. Hart's life ended far too soon in tragedy at Over the Edge 1999, and while his widow, Dr. Martha Hart, has kept clear from the WWE ever since, it is a former WWE World Champion that fans have to thank for the Owen Hart Tournament in AEW. Speaking on his Extreme Life podcast, Matt Hardy gave credit to Chris Jericho, saying he was the interconnection between Martha, the Harts, and AEW. Hardy said how it had been Jericho who had been pushing for something to be done to celebrate the Black Heart's legacy, and added that he has all the confidence in the world that Tony Khan will make sure Owen is remembered as a legend and not for his horrific final moments. Owen Hart may no longer be with us, but his legacy continues to live on, and thanks to Jericho, who knew Owen during his life, we'll soon see the Rocket's life be celebrated with the men's and women's tournaments. More from WrestleMania Backlash as the show closed with the Bloodline standing tall, but fans in attendance got a treat after the show. When the cameras stopped rolling, RK Bro and Drew McIntyre was still in the ring, and despite losing, had some fun to close out the night. In a video recorded by a fan in attendance, Orton can be seen posing with McIntyre's sword, while his teammates posed in the ring just behind him. Despite the defeat, Orton clearly had fun teaming with Riddle and McIntyre last night, as the Legend Killer continues to have a blast in this late stage of his career. Last month, WWE veteran Natalya made an appearance with NXT 2.0 as part of WWE's strategy to have at least one main roster talent on the show at all times. It didn't take long for Natalya to establish herself as a heel, attacking Cora Jade and starting a feud with the young superstar, in addition to putting the entire NXT 2.0 women's division on notice. When not in NXT 2.0, Natalya has been teaming with Shayna Baszler on SmackDown, and in a backstage interview this week, had some huge claims about how they're being treated. We're both being victimized as per usual, and I'm not surprised, but when you're this good, everybody wants a piece of you. And after Shayna got the win fair and square, we were targeted yet again. What happened after the match doesn't matter. What matters is that we have a win and showed that we could be the tag team champions. And not only did we show we can beat them, we also showed exactly what our strategy is going into a title match next week. We're going to tear them apart limb by limb. Natalya is certainly busy, as on Twitter last night, WWE finally booked a singles match between her and Cora Jade, which will air on this week's NXT 2.0. Natalya and Baszler will challenge for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles next week, and we'll have to see if the pair, who have held the gold with different partners in the past, can topple Sasha Banks and Naomi. We mentioned earlier how Trish Stratus would love to return to WWE in a non-wrestling role, but she's not the only legend of the past who could soon be back. After over a decade away, Kurt Angle returned in 2017 to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, but was released in April 2020 as part of the company's never-ending budget cuts. Speaking on his podcast, The Kurt Angle Show, the Olympian was asked what he wants to do next and said that being a manager in WWE would be great for him. Kurt had some very specific clientele in mind, as he said he'd love to only manage Olympians such as Chad Gable and Gable Steveson when the latter makes his WWE debut. Kurt described the idea as a modern take on Team Angle, which comprised of himself, Shelton Benjamin, and Charlie Haas in 2003. Gable and Steveson aren't the only Olympians around, as Ronda Rousey captured bronze at the 2008 Beijing Summer Games, but ultimately, any plans for a stable of Olympians relies on Vince McMahon giving the green light to Kurt's idea. And we're ending with Roman Reigns, who unified the WWE and Universal Championships at WrestleMania 38, defeating Brock Lesnar in the main event of Night 2. WWE billed this match as the biggest WrestleMania match in history, a lofty accolade considering the past 38 years of events, but there have been questions over why WWE unified the two titles. Speaking to WrestleRant recently, Drew McIntyre hit out at WWE's decision to unify the titles, saying it was the wrong call, and explained why. Each show should have its own champion. I know, say like 20 years ago, whatever, it was the same champion, they traveled to the shows, but it was also the same roster. Right now, it's because of what happened at WrestleMania. I know the bell to WrestleMania was this gigantic match with Roman versus Brock. It was two champions facing off. This is the fallout. The main problem with having one undisputed champion is it means that only half of live events can have world title matches, rather than having a world champion for both brands. Even before Reigns unified the two titles at WrestleMania, it was reported that there were plans to introduce a new world title, and for McIntyre, that day can't come soon enough. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.